We're taking a closer look at what the FAA is doing to avert tragedies on the runway, and an aviation expert explains why our airport in Jacksonville has less runway dangers than most. A close call for two commercial airlines at Nashville International Airport after an Alaska Airlines flight aborted takeoff when a Southwest Airlines flight was cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines pilot hitting the brakes so suddenly, the crew reported a blown tire. This incident occurring in the same week that two Delta planes collided while taxiing for takeoff at Atlanta's airport. The wingtip of an Airbus coming in contact with the Delta regional jet, which resulted in the tail separating from the rest of the plane. Aviation expert Ed Booth, who has decades of experience in the aviation industry, says the Atlanta incident could have been a disaster.
Had there been a breach of the fuel tanks on the Airbus, it was carrying a full load of fuel, maybe as much as 25 or 30,000 gallons. It's going nonstop to Tokyo from Atlanta, and that could have been a real catastrophe if there had been a fuel spill and ignition.
The FAA is taking action. Earlier this month, releasing in its safety briefing what's called airport surface safety, writing, "There is a concerning trend with pilots not properly adhering to air traffic control's instructions to line up and wait before departure. There were 25 of these events in 2023 alone." The article, "Please Wait Your Turn," takes a look at this phenomena and explains some of the reasons why some pilots may unintentionally disregard this instruction. Danger zones, or what the FAA calls hotspots, are under the microscope. Hotspots are defined as a generally complex or confusing taxiway or runway intersection that presents the risk of collision. For instance, at Craig Airport, there are two hotspots that have been identified that pilots should be aware of. Notice how the runways intersect each other. Contrast that airport runway with a diagram of Jacksonville International Airports, where there are no hotspots, only runways running parallel to one another.
I think the industry realizes we may not be this lucky in the future.
Booth says human error and the misunderstanding of instructions is the #1 factor for runway incidents. He says the runway is the most dangerous place to be compared to being in the air, saying flying is still a safer form of transportation compared to driving a car on the road.
I think what was it, a couple weekends ago, there were 10 million people screened in one weekend. 10 million people flew in an airplane from point A to point B without a scratch. And so it's something that can't be said for automobile travel. It is simply the safest form of transportation in the history of the world, and the public shouldn't be alarmed.
Aviation industry experts also say the system of checks and balances in place at airports, including control towers, they deserve credit for averting disasters. 2022 and 23, there were, though, 2,199 runway incursions caused all by pilot error.